blind leading the blind, which is all too often what we have to deal with. So now, with that, when you keep moving here, so Lisa, she's so stunned and shocked by this that she makes these posters that say wanted for treason, and she's going to put all of these up before the big bicentennial celebration of the founding of Springfield. So it's all incredibly important when we're looking at this. And you see that the phrase wanted for treason can actually not be wanted for crimes of treason, but wanted for acts of treason, as in to commit acts of treason. So notice when we're looking at it like that, and just typed in the same, you see 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. Wants to be hated and feared, I know all of Satan's lies, and set the world on fire. Now notice that the English and simple values are the same as Frankfurt, Germany. And now with everything that I was just stating emphatically about Commerzbank Arena, you need to know that Frankfurt, Germany is where that arena is located. You see the Brotherhood seal, the United Nations, history repeats, corrupt justice, all things are revealed, end of the Antichrist, the second 9/11, weather modification in the Scottish Rite. All of these are appearing in the phrasing of wanted for treason. For these things. The number 1188 is exceptionally important. 11 plus 88 is obviously 99. And if we look at this number on its own here, I want you to see that when it's inverted, 891 days is the days between Kennedy's assassination and when the Church of Satan was founded. And so when you see that 891, you see Queen of Babylon, brother of the Freemasons, Lord of Destruction, I am the devil, unholy idols. Alright, you see all of that coming into play here. Now, when we break this apart, wanted for treason, if I were to look at treason on its own, what do I get? Jewish values that are the same as formation and Shade, bring me home. 366, the number of days in a leap year. 2016 is a leap year with that many days in it. Look at Sade's bring me home. Her name in red, this beam of light, going home, ascending, everything I talked about in that immensely fascinating video. Alright, so again, all of this that I've talked about. Disappearing, bloodstain, Book of Beast, the satanic mark, the blood of man. Right, and again, tick, 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 all of that coming back to ticking time bomb. Notice the English and simple values are the same as Chan Hansen, where Prince was found dead, as well as hot sauce. Again, reference to formation directly. Reference to Leviathan, Demon King, Manhattan, Planet X, Nations, and the Dragon. Bizarrely, there is a dragon in this episode of The Simpsons, and I'll show you that when we get to it. So the next bit moving along here is this scene that Lisa sees, in which she discusses from the history books that she's read what she feels to be the events that truly took place in Trenton, New Jersey in the year 1781. And so as you saw, it was clearly hidden there. Now I'm going to talk about all this, but notice for Trenton, New Jersey, you have I have hidden everything in plain sight. Racial division in America is being funded by George Soros, something that there is evidence of, and the next one that calls me a sinner will be incinerated. You see the English and simple values are the same as Yes I Can, Sammy Davis Jr., which is a reference to the Don King Donald Trump fight from Celebrity Deathmatch. Notice again the 138, the 0, the silence at the end of that there, connecting it in even one step further. But do notice 153 comes up again, written all the way out. What did I show you? In the right eye. Okay? All of those connections is very important. You see dictated by authority, magnificent 888, all right? 153 gives you a reference to triple number, and here you see magnificent 888. You also see the appearance of the 11. So 1781, as I said earlier, has the same English and simple values as plate 107 and the mysterious T. go back in the video if you don't remember already. And it is also worth noting that 1781 is 15 years before Stuart actually began painting the Athenaeum, which he started in 1796. Of course, 15 being the devil card. And remember everything I've been talking about with 15 years, because when I found out that Richard Greenough had made the statue of Ben Franklin that fell down when Erykah Badu was doing the performance of the song Dorothy Parker by Prince, I was talking about how that statue was made by presumably Richard Greenough, presumably Horatio Greenough's brother, the man who made the enthroned Washington, and that there were 15 years in between the debuts of those statues, and again comparing it to that card. And so again here you see all these references to not fearing the 11, Path of the Hangman, Final Warning, so on. Alright, but all immensely fascinating. It's also worth noting that George Washington would have been 49 years old in 1781. So if we invert it, we get the number 94, which I have highlighted there, so it has to be something for you here. So do notice, yeah, absolutely, and I'll just pull it up in today's presentation since it'll have all of the pieces that we need. When we look into it, it'll be the same as Terror. Sasha Fierce, the code name for Beyonce, her MK Ultra altar. You see Queen Bey, Mike Will, the producer for Formation, as well as Black Boxes and Obnoxio. Remember who I showed you everything that I'll be talking about with Mayor Hogue, who had been performing as a clown since the age of 15, just so we can stay in accordance with that number there. And so I had one other set written out for you here. Let me see if 143 is in this presentation. So yeah, it comes up when we're looking at Liberty Vance, adding his names together, and that's the number of the day of the year that Sade's Bring Me Home was released. Alright, so that again does immediately tie back to everything that I was talking about with Sade a moment ago, and we're going to get to Liberty Vance here because that is a huge bit, but not till later on. Alright, so notice now, when we break down that year 1781 as 1781, you get the Mark of the Beast / Antichrist death. You also see the Elite Web, Illuminatus Antichrist, and War in America. Now the English and simple values here are the same as Celebrity Deathmatch and a Watch and Learn feature. Now this is crazy because what do we see in this scene? A celebrity deathmatch between these two founding fathers going at each other, as well as a Watch and Learn feature, which I showed you in the beginning of this video. It is the propaganda film that the kids are watching. So again, look through all of that. And so I want to state that since we're seeing so many connections to Celebrity Deathmatch, it makes sense to look at it how they may appear on the show. So on the show they'll typically break them down or do something and have a themed fight of some sort. So arguably one of the ways it could be broken is Washington, Springfield. Remember, they don't put verses. So when you put those two together, you get Illuminati Synagogue of Satan, Struggle Within, 666 Curse, specializes in evil and United Nations organization. Does that sound familiar? And I'm going to tie the UN to this so unbelievably tight here in a moment that it is stunning, again, as always. But so notice the English and simple values down below, Novus Ordo Seclorum, New Order of the Ages. And what's that again? Written out there, 153. Okay, again, just to pull it up for you in the right eye so you can just see it coming up. Look up top since it comes up so much. Capital punishment. See, the hour is near. Again, that's right down below there. You can look into all of that. This is all completely connected and referential towards itself, all right? Military dictatorship, the master manipulator, alright? The two founding fathers based on lies. Contaminated vaccinations, the revelation of tarot in the shape of the universe. So, after this fight, when Jebediah is walking away or running away, he tears off a piece of the painting on the floor of Washington, the Athenaeum, and that's what he later writes that letter on that Lisa read in the Historical Society. So now Lisa writes a paper on this, and Miss Hoover gives her an F. She gives her a 6. All right, it's immensely important to note that. But she goes on this whole tirade calling her a PC thug, this and that. But I want you to see that Lisa's paper was titled Jebediah Springfield, Fraud. And that is the same coding as Susanna Jones, who is the world's oldest woman who died at the age of 116 recently. And you do see coded with it White Horse, as well as Fool to Universe. Again, the whole span of the tarot, the whole span of the great work. You see Sadistic Will, the base master of treachery, We Are the Gods, music industry, and United States Army. Now down below, the English and simple values are the same as Dorothy M. Johnson. Now this is beyond stunning, because we're going to look into, and remember a minute ago I was talking about Liberty Vance, but we're going to look more extensively at Dorothy M. Johnson, who is the author of this short story that the film was then based on. But notice here, Lisa's decision to hide the truth about Jebediah and preserve the myth is a reference to the man who shot Liberty Valance. In her paper, Jebediah Springfield Fraud is coded the same as the author of that book. Alright? That should be enough. But that's point 24, which I will note at this point is crucial, because inverting and adding that mirror 24 is the 6-6, which is the number of points that I have in the PEZ theory. You see Death of the Antichrist, the Word of God made flesh, the knowledge of 11, reveal hidden truths, I am the light in the way, as well as the quantum number, which is actually in there a lot if you look into it. So now Lisa is struck with so much contempt and grief for all of this that she gets the town all rallied up. And this is where I'm going to start to tie over into Zachary Taylor here. But she gets everybody all rallied up to go unearth Jebediah Springfield, because she's so convinced that she is right. And this is much the same as what happened with Zachary Taylor, the 12th president of the U.S. Alright, so just take a look at some of this stuff here. The cause of death, cholera morbus, is what it was having to do with. You see it's a form of gastroenteritis, right? Something having to do with the gastrointestinal tract, just like Anthony Kiedis when he was hospitalized on that date that I was telling you had to look out for. Alright, so we're going to talk about this. Zachary Taylor, old, rough, and ready. All of those things, alright? So notice that his name is 13 letters. Important. The death card. The Jewish value is the same as nor let the fools mistake love. Remember, for there are love and the dove. Or excuse me, there are love and love. There's the dove and the serpent. Alright? Incredibly important. Notice for Zachary Taylor, reference to the return to the void, the center of the universe, 11, 9, 11, which are the numbers that we would get when looking at the word kiss. Now, this is the 11th letter, the 9th, and S can both reduce to 1. And so you have that there. Now, hold that in your head as I go through here for a moment. You see reference to black man in the White House, making money off of people's miseries, the protocols of the elders of Zion, destructive spirit, that the dead may rise up and inhale the incense, 1 through 36, which totals 666, and don't forget about 8-5, which could also be 5-8. So let's go over here. Let's start with that, with the 8-5. Because it is the same as Plan 9, the label, right, that put out the Bullet EP. You see CBS News, the devil, crucify, violence, hail Satan, falsehood, dead ringer. It's what they were going for with Kennedy, arguably the body of J.T. Tippit. And notice as well, if we look at it straight on, it's 58. It's the same as KISS. Immensely important, because as I showed you, it is right up top here. And remember that 2016, on July 29th, the same day that Beyonce is going to be playing Commerce Bank Arena, the same day that Erykah Badu's The Land comes out, is the 58-year anniversary of NASA. It's a big fucking deal. The English and simple values here, again, notice with this 138, if we drop that silence, the 0 there. Alright, and that 173, do remember JPL initial reductions. Third World War, Agenda 21, Demonic Martial Law, Master of Lodge, and 107, just like Plate 107 for Jebediah Springfield's Silver Tongue. So take a look here, the cause of death for Zachary Taylor listed as cholera morbus, which is the same Jewish value as ice cream. This is a Marvel character that we're going to be looking at later on here, who appeared in one issue of X-Men, the one featuring Obnoxio the Clown. So if I pull up ice cream here for you, just so you can catch a glimpse of that, you see murder addiction and the Rose Eaters. Okay, very important. The English and simple values are the same as inauguration, which is again something that we will look at shortly here, but do notice you see reference to infernal bloodlust, soul contract, and image in honor of the beast in the Aeon of Babylon and the beast. Also see reference to Babylon is genocide. Notice as well the breakdown for the word inauguration. It's 12 letters. Zachary Taylor was the 12th president. All of that, the way it breaks down to the master thelemic number. But so let's go back here now so we can keep talking about this. Notice as well, Zachary Taylor was exhumed in Louisville, Kentucky on June 17th, 1991. This was the 168th day of that year, because the reason I want to mention that to you is because it is the same simple value as Beyonce Knowles. And so let's get that to pop up for you there so you can take a look at that. And so you have very clearly written out for you European Union, Devil in Disguise, Sweet 16, Evil Intention, The Law Fulfilled. Okay, remember Beyonce Knowles is how her name appears in the Celebrity Deathmatch episode, okay? From that day, there were 197 days remaining in the year. That is the same simple value as George Dr. Death Nichols, who, as we'll talk about more extensively here, is performing the actual autopsy on Zachary Taylor's body. So give me just a second here if I can just pull this up so I can show you. And it was right in front of me there. But so you can see that's the medical examiner for this. I don't want there to be any loose ends, loose hairs, anything like that. But so do notice though, if I want to pull that up and show you those values, well, I guess I have to show you Dr. Death, not D-Death. Jeez. Really stalled me out there, huh? It's clever. So do notice though that that Jewish value is the same as cherry. And I'm going to talk about this later, but of all the things Price Economics could have chose, they put Zachary Taylor in front of a background of cherries. I want you to see that that coding is also the same as as Erykah Badu, Love Gun, and Fifth Avenue, Bite the Bullet, Beast of the Sea, Babylon Liberator. But because 197 is what we're looking at, you see there is no coincidence. The Future of Earth, Seven Trumpets, and Volcanic Eruption. Alright, so now let's go back. All of that. And so again, noting that that 197 is the same Jewish value as Prince, it's definitely worth noting since I've shown you so much, and I guess that's all I've really got for Prince, but with his connections to this. But so the word exhumed has a Jewish value of 552. That has the value of Obama gets headshot, Idols of Lucifer, Remnant of People, and the CERN portal. Now this is also the length of Prince's song, When Doves Cry, which was his #1 song, and it's what I looked into extensively when I did my video on Prince talking about that whole mess, okay? So go back and watch that and see how all those connections there are really fascinating. So I want to note that Zachary Taylor died on July 9th, 1850, but he wasn't buried until November 1st. That's a 111. You reduce this all the way down, the year is 5, you get that 555. Which do remember, It's absolutely the same for Purple Rain. Alright, just so you can see time and time and time again how these things come up. Alright, the significance. 116 days later is another way of looking at that time and space in there. So now, probably wondering where I'm getting that from. And so we'll pull back here and just show you a page real quick. I think it's on this one. You can see it's talking extensively about the details of his remains being handled, where he's buried, all of that stuff. Of course, that place is now a national landmark. So, keep going here. To be fair, his remains were held at Congressional Cemetery from July 13th to October 25th, or 105 days. So, just to keep it moving for you, the visual album for Beyonce's Lemonade is 105. It's 1 hour, 5 minutes. You do see for that 105 coding, 9/11, Messenger, Sudden Death, The World, Suffering, Masonry, Cliffoth, Symbols, and Vitriol. Remember, that is an alchemical model hidden on the 14th card of the tarot deck, the art card, meaning to visit the interior of the earth, guided by true will. Now, talked a lot about that in the past, so I don't want to expand too much on it here, because this video, all in its entirety, is going to be well into 2.5 hours at least. I'll probably parse it out in about an hour-long block each, but you have to watch it all together. Now, notice that it is weird how they took him out for 7 days before recommitting him to the ground. Okay, July 9th to the, October 25th to November 1st is 7 days. And that he was out for 4 days after his death, the 9th to the 13th when he was put in the Congressional Cemetery. That's 11 days. These are two divinely important numbers with the occult. You get the 77 when you multiply them. It's 11 days total, though, that he's out of the ground. Now, this is really weird to me because with all these connections to the celebrity death match with Don King versus Donald Trump in this episode, it's very interesting to note that Muhammad Ali, who Don King was the manager of, was buried in Louisville, Kentucky as well. Now, I just think that's crazy because of all of these connections I've shown you. And that the video that I did talking about those connections with Don King, Donald Trump, celebrity deathmatch, and all of that was banned. Alright, that's very interesting to me. And that leads right into the next point here, where we're looking at the full-out coding of President Zachary Taylor. You see the phrase, U.S. died June 11th. Same day, the wait is over, all of that coding I showed you at the beginning of this video. Erykah Badu and Ricky Smiley were playing that show together. The 888 coding of Verizon Arena, so on, so forth. Alright, it's something I talked about so much, I just need to go on it here. But so, let's take a look at Gilbert Stuart here. This is the man who was doing the actual painting that we refer to as the Athenaeum, however you pronounce that. Started in 1796 though, but notice just like Zachary Taylor, he has 13 letters in his first and last name as well, and he also died on July 9th, 22 years before Zachary Taylor died. Again, that number 22. Now notice his Jewish value is the same as the Misfits bullet. You see, go forth and conquer, study, movie, in your face. Now, for study, movie, Misfits bullet, just talking about the video of mine that was banned. Remember, Parkland Memorial Hospital is all 8-letter words. And when I was talking about it, and please pause and look through the coding for this because this is absolutely one of the most stunning bits here. And I don't have it written out because it was something that I was doing in more of a live spirit, but this hospital is located at 5201 when Kennedy was taken there, but the address is currently 5200, whatever the street is. Now, it was changed to 5201 for a handful of years, and when you invert the number 5201, it is the number 1025, which is, now get this, the number of days before the Kennedy assassination that a movie that Marilyn Monroe was in titled The Misfits was released. You drop that zero out of there, I'll take you one step further. That movie is 1 hour and 25 minutes long, or excuse me, 125 minutes long. What do you think about that? Look at the inversion of the 125, the 521, the path of Resh and black operations. Illuminati has caused many people to have heart attacks. I'm going to talk about that with Adlai Stevenson here in just a minute, former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations. But so since notice there that Plan 9 Records comes up again and is directly tied with the Misfits bullet over on the left side of your screen here, and you look through all of that, because it said it's the same simple value. There's the 125, John Kennedy, dark deception, hypnosis, just like the pendulum in the Nestle Nescafe commercial, NN55, that played after Cronkite told us that he was assassinated. Look at the Plan 9 Jewish, Great Lightning, Lone Gunman, Bunch of Lies, 1 hour. You know, if you go back through and actually watch when Cronkite was saying that, he says that the president was shot about 1 hour and 38 minutes ago. Just like we are 138. And you type that in, you get this repeating 666 gold egg of the Aeon map. This is absolutely stunning. You put that next to studying the movie, you see what the fuck I'm talking about. Check it out. It's the epitome of arrogance because it's all there. Not me. God, no. It's taking everything in me not to say I told you so about June 11th. Alright, and I'm not going to. I will make a whole other video on it. But notice here as well, the last Trump, message from God in October, grandiose delusions, and seers are Illuminati. Now down below for Gilbert Stewart, the English and simples are the same as Sebastian Murdoch, Donald Sutherland, remember playing the voice of Hollis Hurlbut in this episode, as well as Agent X or X in JFK. And you also see it's the same as Old Rough and Ready, which was the nickname for President Zachary Taylor. And Sebastian Murdoch, for those of you who are doubtlessly wondering about who that is the author for the article from the Huffington Post that I was examining about Donald Trump saying he'd be able to shoot somebody and not lose any voters over it. So you see that direct connection with bullet there, okay? Absolutely critical. Here's your 27. Here's your 888. Fire and brimstone, alright? So for Donald Sutherland here, just see these ideas of secret donations. That is, English and simple values are the same as Gilbert Stewart, Sebastian Murdoch, and Old Rough and Ready. Alright, absolutely tied in there. Take a look at this painting here, the Athenaeum. You see an idol of Lucifer, Mr. President. And I want to remind you, since I took a look at this happy birthday Mr. President bit, and since I just showed you that stunning connection with the Misfits and Bullet and Marilyn Monroe, happy birthday Mr. President. Check this out here, Rider on the White Horse, down below 666, Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Having been drugged and disoriented, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, in the phrase abandon hope, all ye who enter here. This is all with the phrase exposing the satanic lullaby. Goddamn right. Alright, so back to the left. Queen of the Dead, intent to kill, false doctrines, a great architect, dragon of chaos. Remember, I'm going to come back to that. English and simple values. I've said this several times in the video now. This is a keystone number in here. Alright, it should be noted that again, since there are 66 points in this, I want to point out that when we look at the written out form of 66 here, when it comes up in all of this coding, gosh, let me see if I can get one that has all of it put in for you. Alright, I want you to see that since it's the 29 point and a 66 point bit, that 29 coming up in there and this idea of skull and bones is absolutely paramount to it. Alright, blood sacrifice, Don Trump, divine star, top secret, again. See this coding for Athenaeum on its own here. Now, let's get into Adlai Stevenson a bit. So, back to our Lisa the Iconoclast. When the people of Springfield are going to dig up the bones of Jebediah, they cover up the flame on Adlai Stevenson's grave. Now, for those of you not familiar with who Adlai is here, I've got somewhere for you in this one over here. I've got for you this screenshot here so you can see this is absolutely who they're referring to. And so you can see he was born February 5th, 1900 and died July 14th, 1965, aged 65. It's important to note that Zachary Taylor was also 65. Notice that he was the 31st governor of Illinois. 31 is the number of the Book of the Laws, a hidden bit of coding there that you learn from familiarizing with the adjustment card and the Book of Law itself. I want you to see quite a bit, but I want you to see his connection with the phrase spiderweb. I want you to see the Jewish coding 1155, 11 and 55 as 66. I want you to see again 153 written out here again, and all of the times that I have shown you that coming up in this phrase, in the right eye. I want you to know for all of those redundancies in the right eye that I keep saying throughout this, that the baseline of this theory having to go back to this Simpsons intro being one of the biggest pieces of predictive programming ever, involving ice cream going into the right eye of the idol of Lucifer on Ralph's head, is absolutely monumentally powerful. Alright? Absolutely powerful. And so take a look back here. You see the new Barak, see will be done, you are the master, supremacist groups, wait and see, and war in America. Now notice the English and simple values down below are the same as Commerce Bank Arena. Again, Shooter's Hill, where the George Washington Masonic National Museum is located. Alright, and the world's oldest woman who died at 116. Subconscious, messages revealed, satanic rulers, Obama damaged right eye, Luciferian Mason, and mystical arts. Alright, so here you have, I talk more about Adlai, his middle name, you can look at him more. But again, these connections to the United Nations and him being the ambassador to the UN, the 5th U.S. ambassador, and he was absolutely in there during JFK and John Kennedy's presidencies. So he died in 1965, which was 115 years after Zachary Taylor's death. As I stated just a moment ago there, they were both 65 when they died. So now, we go to this scene here, and you know what, at the 2-hour break, give me just 1 second here to go and grab something to drink. My drink is empty here. 1 moment. Alright, so again, we're at the gravesite. We're unearthing Jebediah Springfield. You have these members of the town gathered around here, all very important. Chief Wiggum removes the head, shows that there's no silver tongue. Notice the full moon behind him here. Let's go back. When he's holding the head and singing there, he's singing Camptown Ladies. Alright, and I talked about this earlier on, and you'll notice here these respected members of the community, the Reverend, the Doctor, and the Mayor, as well as Homer, who absolutely has some of the most profound connotations and coding of any character. But they all couldn't be having a better time watching the use of the founder of their town be used in a mocking way, singing this song, Camptown Ladies. So again here, notice for Camptown Ladies, it's the double 13 coding, the appearance of 11, child snuff film community, 153 fish, remember 153, it's still pulled up on the other side for you. Fish, the coding with none, the death card, things I talked about in what will probably be part 1 of this video after I parse it out. Notice down below the English and simple values, the Great Babylon, the Great Deceiver, the Path of Quoth, that's the moon. Remember everything I've talked about with the number 18. You see erotic violence, head mind control, and delights in evil. So it's important to note it that Chief Wiggum is the one who, right, as I say, pulls the corpse out there. And you see reference to Justice for All, the Golden Dawn, Secret Satanic Sorority, Gematria of 33, the New Blood, commits murder then suicide, as well as Creator beheads Zeus. His English and simple values are the same as Iconoclast, Formation, Saves the Bee, and TMZ Staff. Again, Mark of Beast, Image of Satan, Knighthood. Clancy Wiggum is another way that he is commonly referred to as on the show. So notice here both his names in that are 6 letters, giving us a nice 66. The Jewish value is the same as Beyonce Knowles and Erica Abby Wright's. Erykah Badu's full name spelled out there. You see reference to MK Ultra mind control as well as and ritual abuse, all one phrase, Babylon mystery, moon civilization, on and on. Notice the English and simple values here are the same as Donald Trump, Beyonce Lemonade, Sade Bring Me Home, The Brothers, Cat Williams, The Teflon Don, A Real Cup of Coffee, that's from the Nestle Nescafe commercial, and Masturbate Me. It's from the song Bullet from the Misfits. It's when he's talking about sodomizing Jackie O. And you see how it's all connected right in that bit, the one unearthing. Alright, and that Chief Wiggum gives you the whole bit there. Master Mason, behind the 11, number 7, God bless Satan, Great Architect, 911 call, I hear horsemen, remember they were looking for people for treason. Looks can fool and long overdue. So Clara Rising, again if we go back to this article about him. So of course just her name being Rising is auspicious in and of itself. It's a 6-letter word. 18 reduces down to 9. So 9 and 6 is 15, the devil card. 1 and 5, 6, the lover's card, the great work. You can also look at that as the 18th card. You know what? No, I'm not even going to go into that one because it's too much. But so notice that Rising is the one who is responsible for wanting his body to be exhumed. You see here on June 17th, the day of all of that, she's the one wheeling the crip out by there with everybody, absolutely connected. Notice Image of Satan, Skull, the highest, English and simple values, same as Chief Wiggum, Formation, Save the Bees, and TMZ Staff. Remember that Save the Bees linking back to Erykah Badu's most recent cover from her EP, She Can't Use My Phone. She looks like Shiva, it's Control Freak, all of those things I've talked about, alright? So now take a look here. George, Dr. Death Nichols. Again, as I noted earlier on in this video, it's the same coding as Cherry, which is so bizarre to me, because that's what's behind him. This is from Price Economics. I don't want to hear shit about how it's not a good source, or how it's one that would somehow be going to make that kind of argument. But you see, Bit the Bullet is dangerous, death and decay, preparations, is not innocent, the Babylon Liberator, occultation, satanic abomination, and distractions. Down below you do see, same as I know the pieces fit. CERN Super Collider, Man of Lawlessness, Seven Trumpets, Volcanic Eruption, all the things I've shown you with the code 1440, Volcanic Eruption, 411 Elm Street. There's really no end to it. There's absolutely no end to it. Alright. And so let's get back here to our iconoclast clips. Lisa has a dream because she's trying to let it all go. She's not really able to do so. She has this thing where Washington comes in and tells her she has to keep fighting the good fight. And when she does, she finds out that the tongue actually was there and that Hurlbut actually hit it. The character who's played by Donald Sutherland, he grabbed it before the dust could settle and hit it in that Wild Wild West scene that I showed you earlier. And she then finds out that it's on the back of the Athenaeum that the note from Jebediah Springfield proclaiming his evil background is found. And she completes the puzzle again, the cauldron below him there. But so, in going back, she puts all of that together. But she tells herself that she can't quite come to telling the town about it. That there is something more to it, and that the myth is more important. And this comes back to what I was referencing somewhere probably an hour or two ago, to the man who shot Liberty Valance and Dorothy M. Johnson, excuse me. But I want to show this quote here. It says, "Let 'em march, boys." Because this is what Police Chief Wiggum says at the end, when Homer is marching through town and he takes the bell from Ned Flanders and it's like breaks the law and he endorses it. And so you see there, damage Obama's right eye, kissed by a rose, I'm sorry, Barack, crusher of crocodiles. The esoteric significance of that is beyond what I'm able to put forward to you. But notice as well, it's the same as Jonathon Collier, the PEZ Theory, Sunset Sound, and Police Chief Wiggum. Alright, which I have for you right down below here. And again, all of these things with the number 7, the Great Architect, Obama Executioner, Just Wait and See, Order of the Rose, Hit the Bullseye. Alright, for Police Chief Wiggum, you see this 1331. The Mirror of 13, just like for Camptown races is 1313. It's very important how all of this fits. Police Chief Wiggum is the destruction of the human race, the source of evil, newspapers, the human extinction secret, stop the struggle of the poor, that's the Earth Institute at Columbia University, that's what they propose they do. But we know that that's not what they're using those resources for. You see blaming others so they feed on blood. That's keeping us distracted and at each other's throats, divided and conquered, arguing over arbitrary things. You see the moon god is the god of the Old Testament, hidden truth and lies exposed, as well as the art of war. The other phrase, the other part of when he says, "Let him march, boys," is "let the man march." You see Lucifer / Hades. Dark Moon / Lilith, no doubt connections. The phrase king and queen, Satanist, change is in order, sacrifice of children, and the demon of anger. Now I want you to know that I think when it says these things such as sacrifices children, child snuff film community organizer, all of those things with the snuff and children, I don't think it only pertains to children. I think they're absolutely incorporated in it. But if you read the book of the law, and even if you read really any religious text, I guess for that matter, refers to everybody as children. Adults are children. But in the book of the law, more specifically, it says we're children and how naive, ignorant, egotistical, narrow-minded, and all sorts of other things that are completely accurate of the mainstream consciousness. But how that makes us children. And so when you see sacrifice of children, that's who it's talking about, I think. Notice the English and symbols for this are the same as on the ground, Charles Dickens' last words. Things that have come up immensely through today. Remember, 141 is the number of days in between when Don Trump said he could shoot somebody on 5th Avenue in June 11th of this year when Ricky Smiling Body played that show. Will of Thelema, Age of Aquarius, Tribulation, Hairbringer of Death, a Devourer, Underground, Hit the Target. When you put the whole phrase together, you see, let him march, boys, let the man march. You get reference to the same Jewish coding as the mysterious T. It's the episode that Beyonce and Missy Elliott fought each other on Celebrity Deathmatch. The one in which John Edwards' decapitated head, remember his coding is the same as Antichrist. A number of other things that we baseline throughout here, as well as Athenaeum and Cromulent. But that his corpse is the one that writes, beware the T. T is the 20th letter. It's the Aeon card. Notice here for the coding, you see inverted pentagram, Dorothy mourning a death, as well as senseless violence. Barack Obama is the demon Joker. The English simple values down at the bottom, you find deep in military preparations, family of the Great Tribulation, as well as beyond the observable universe. What exactly does terror mean? And welcome to the Twilight Zone. I want you to see that the English value here, this 1872, is the same Jewish value as the mystery box of fun. So do remember that the mystery box of fun was in the Mysterious T episode. Alright, and its coding is the same as Parkwood Entertainment, which is who released the Formation single. And I think I have it written for you somewhere up here. If not, I'm just going to tell you Mystery Box of Fun. Yep, there it is. It's 15 letters, and if you reduce it, see here, 4, 2, that adds together is 6, because O and F both reduce to 6, so you have a 666. Alright, the Mystery Box of Fun directly ties to that. Even when you look at the English value, 15 and 66 are next to each other. The Devil card and this hugely important Skull and Bones number. 1 and 5 is 6, giving us another one there. Alright, again. The United States of America. Alright, but up top, when we're looking at this for the 1872, you see Phoenix, symbol of resurrection, as well as I love you Illuminati, church and government denominations, a man that was killed by the FBI, and what is CERN really doing? All powerful concepts. Notice down here for these English and simples, the family of the Great Tribulation. I just want to reiterate that again because in a block of the phrase, let the man march, you see reference to tribulation, as well as will of Thelema. And remember with all these concepts, the number 8, holy significance, this and that. It's the 8th tarot card is adjustment, formally justice, which is not a concept that is something that exists in nature. It's an arbitrary, subjective term. There's only adjustment to what survives. Alright, but looking back to this phrase, the full phrase there, in the English and simple values, you do have what exactly does terror mean? And so that is how I'm going to springboard into the last bit of this, but I am going to ask that you give me just one moment here, and if you notice any cuts in this when I upload them as far as the time, it is